One of the hardest steps of sanctification for the believer is surrendering my quote-unquote will for my life and my perceived control over to the sovereignty of God. I have hopes, I have dreams, many of which are well-intentioned. I believe I know what is best for me, for my family, but I make a terrible God. And in my 30-plus years, I'm slowly learning the Lord's way often isn't quite as expected or planned. His way is better. It might not be as I thought it would be, but it's always better. You look at Psalm 139, verse 16, it says that your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Literally, each one of our days were already written by our Maker, the greatest storyteller of all, before even one of them came to be. And that's this overwhelming, amazing reality of faith. He has written all of our days, all before one of them came to pass. And coming to grips with this truth can lead me to one of two places. It's this crippling anxiety as my perceived control slips through my hands, or this beautiful, holy surrender. But what a gift when the Lord lowers us to this posture of surrender. He is ultimately leading us to this place of freedom. Philippians 1:6 says that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. So no matter the valley, the change of plans, the disappointment, or failure that you might be facing, you can rest in this truth that his love really is writing a better story. And I know it sounds corny, it feels like some lame Hallmark title that he's writing a better story, but it really is true. And what's fun for me now, it wasn't at the time, but I wrote this song. It was one of the first songs I wrote for this album 5-6 years ago. And it was this reality of trusting, hey, you're writing a better story for my life. And a lot has changed. A lot of life looks way different than I expected. A lot of change of plans, a lot of disappointments. COVID happened. Those few years have been hard for so many of us. Even in ministry, there were just opportunities and I think dreams coming true, callings being answered. And then the Lord seemingly out of nowhere just said no. And he shut doors. And moments for me where I said, hey, I got to double down on surrendering again. I've had seasons of perceived control. I've had moments where I have strived and strived and strived, and I need to cease striving again. I need to finally just surrender and say, Lord, I don't know what you're doing. I don't understand this circumstance. I don't understand, but I'm gonna learn to lean not on my own understanding. And I'm gonna trust what Paul said in Philippians, that you who began a good work in me, you're gonna complete it. You're faithful to do it. And so his love's writing a better story, literally from beginning to end. And I'm going to trust here and unto glory that God, you're always for me. And a day will come when we're all going to rise again. A day will come where we'll metaphorically rise from this disappointment, from this valley, from this sorrow, from the hurt, the pain, the trauma, the list goes on, whatever's going on in your story. A day will come, I believe, this side of heaven where you're gonna get little ounces, little moments of that resurrection. And then if you know Jesus personally, a day literally will come where we will rise again. And he said, he is the resurrection of life. And there's a reality that we are gonna find ultimate freedom when we get to see him face to face. So even if you can't see it yet, even if this way is not what you thought is best, you might not feel it, you might not even believe it, but if I can remind you today, his way truly is better. He loves you. Romans 8 talks all about how he's for you, and he's writing a better story. And all he asks of you, all he asks of me is that we would trust him.